Hey dudes, welcome back to the bench. Today I want to try something a little bit different and take you guys through what goes on in my head as I'm doing graffiti. Tell you guys what it is I'm thinking and why I'm making some of the decisions I made. So we're going to use this piece here that I did for a commission, and if you guys like this sort of thing, definitely let me know and we can certainly do some more of this. I'd love to rock some black book sessions with you guys. A nice little fun video for you guys to draw along to. So join me in the black books and let's get into breaking down this piece. Now I wanted to point out the letters for people who are brand new to graffiti, so here they are. So when working on the M, initially I just had the serif here, but this commission was a bit of a surprise, and I was told that he enjoyed older school graffiti, so I wanted to utilize some of the older school extensions that you would typically see, where you have a serif that then extends in any kind of direction, followed by another extension this way. This kind of thing is very common in old school graffiti, where then the serif connects to another extension that once again continues on forward. So you'll see it again over here. Now, I'm not an old school graffiti artist, as you might have realized, so I'm not going to try to go ahead and fully emulate that old school style. I still want something that's original to me, something that feels authentic to what I like to bring to the table for graffiti, because I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody's coming to you for artwork, they want what you have to offer. They want your style. That's why they're coming to you. So I didn't want to do something that was purely old school, but rather instead, I wanted to learn some lessons from the old school pieces, and that's exactly what we did with these orange areas right here. Now, to study old school graffiti, I not only used some amazing old school graffiti artists from back in the day, but I also looked at some of my father's work. When you're inspired by a graffiti artist, one of the best ways to learn is to look at why they did what they did. And predominantly, these extensions right over on this side of the piece are largely used in order to help bulk up the left-hand side of the name, because as you might notice, I went into this initially thinking that I wouldn't have as much room as I did, so I did the MAC a lot smaller than I typically would have, while the ETE ended up becoming a little bit enlarged. But to counterbalance the enlarged letters on the right-hand side, I did compact them a lot more, having a lot more serious overlaps in this area right over here. This helped to mitigate some of the overweight sections that I was having on the right-hand side. Now, the right-hand side still certainly weighs more than the left-hand side, and if I can go back in time, that's certainly something that I would adjust. But I don't think it's too far off the mark here. When it comes down to my style and how I enjoy doing graffiti, I try to have lines flow into one another in order to maximize flow with line uniformity and similarity, as well as letter positioning. So you'll see something like this line right here of the A lines up with this line here, and it actually helps to complete the M as well, as this line of the M meets at this vertex, and then that vertex continues over this way to help complete the A. This is the kind of thing I really enjoy doing in my own graffiti, and it's something that you'll find in a lot of my pieces. You actually see it again over in this area. So what ends up going on here is the H shoots down through here, and it actually creates a tangent right in this section with the E. So what do? We simply erase this section. As you can see in the original artwork, we don't have a line there. So we erase that section in order to get rid of the tangent, and we allow for the structure to be suggested in that area as a result. So now, suddenly, this line of the H is actually the line of the E. As you can see, it continues through the H on the right-hand side, and then it stops right here. Interestingly enough, we line that up nicely with a T, which shoots downward, and it creates the ending of the E itself. But if you notice, we can actually continue this line to meet this vertex right here, and this can come over here, which then this part right here of the T ends off the E as well. But it doesn't stop there, because the actual serif that we have on the E shoots upwards, out, and then this line in particular lines up really nicely with the bottom of the second E here. So that creates an extra bit of flow. And you'll notice we actually have a tiny line right here going upwards. It's a small line, but it helps in order to suggest the direction of our second E's letter structure, where it comes this way. So really, all of these lines help to bleed directly into one another, helping to increase flow. And that's all done through letter positioning. That's really what's facilitating all that. Now, if you want to learn all about flow and how to really work flow, pick up our brand new book that we have in the description down below. We go over each fundamental, and that stuff is applicable to pieces as well. Also, something I'd like to point out before this tracing paper gets way too cluttered and messy is the exterior details like this right here. When I do exterior details, I try to incorporate them in prime numbers, and this helps in order to maintain balance within the piece. So as you'll see, we have 1 over here, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That once again just helps to maintain the balance. And I try to position these in areas that are either A, needing more weight, such as this one right here. B, can increase the amount of depth in an area, once again in this area here, and this area here especially. And C, to help fill negative space like these two on this side. But there's also a fourth reason that you might want to go ahead and add an exterior detail. And one of those reasons is to actually break up boring lines. If I didn't already hit my prime numbers, and if I I didn't like this one right here, which honestly, this was just the fact that I liked it. Technically speaking, this one is a mistake, and I really should have incorporated it down here somewhere in order to help break up this very monotonous straight line. When you have straight lines like this, they become a bit of an eyesore, and they don't really do much to add depth. You look at how much more interesting an area like this is, or how much more interesting an area like this is when compared to that straight blocky bottom. Once again, another one of those things that I would change if I can go back in time. Overall, I enjoyed this piece. It was a bit out of my comfort zone, but it was still a good time, and I'm satisfied with the results of it. So after I went ahead and outlined all this, I actually ended up recentering this on a totally different page and redoing the entire outline. And it's at that point I decided to move on to the colors. Now, I haven't owned a proper set of markers in a very long time. We're talking maybe like 10 years or so. And I was really excited to get back into them because recently for my birthday, my father actually picked up a ridiculous set of markers. The guy is crazy. He bought me way too many of these things. And massive thank you to him. And it was perfect timing, so I decided to give these guys a test run here on this commission. I pulled out blues because I really enjoy the color blue for fill-in. Now we're gonna hit both the fill-in and 3D with a bit of a darker outline on the inside of the letters and on the inside of the 3D. Then we'll blend each of those outwards to make them a little bit more faded, a little bit more discreet, if you will, but it helps to add a nice bit of pop to those areas. Now, since we did use such a muted, warm tone for the actual 3D itself, we want to help pop out that blue. And we're going to do that with a beautiful orange here that's really going to help to emphasize not only the blue, but complement the actual 3D as well. Overall, we have a nice color harmony happening here, and that's going to be the commission done. Hopefully the guy that this is for really enjoys it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. If you like this kind of video, let me know in the comments down below. We'll definitely rock some more of these. Alright, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Hopefully this helped you guys out. And we also have the best How to Do Graffiti playlist right up here with more graffiti content right down here. I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.